Hi there. So the next thing I wanted to talk about in Framer is how you can use 3D objects in Framer. So if we have a quick look at the web page that I've made for testing, you can see that I've got this big @ symbol floating around, and I can manipulate that however I like, and I can scroll in and out to make it larger or smaller. And you can also see that it actually responds to a light source in real time. So as it gets further away from us, it actually seems to be getting brighter, which doesn't make a lot of sense. And it gets much darker as it gets closer, responding to a light source in the scene. Lots of fun and a cool feature. Something that people really like on websites these days are little 3D animations, little flashes. There's a good paper written by a company that created a little globe, and they got 60% more user retention on their website because they had a little 3D animated globe in there. So I want to talk briefly about how we can create these kinds of objects in a Framer site, and luckily it's really easy to do. Now, looking at the layers panel in Framer again, you can see that the 3D object I have just lives in a little stack here, and it is just an embed. But what is it an embed of? Where did this come from? And I'm sure that lots of you probably already know, but this came from Spline. I got this 3D object from Spline, and probably the rudest, meanest thing that I've done here is that if I hide this little rectangle, you can actually see that this was built in Spline. So I kind of cheated to hide that. But you might be wondering how to actually get a 3D object from Spline and embed it on your page. Well, honestly, it really couldn't be much simpler. So if we jump over to Spline, what I'll do is start generating a new file. You can use Spline's AI tools if you want to try and use something like that. But for now, what I am going to do is just create a very quick, let's just go for some 3D text for now. So I will create this 3D text, which is great to see. And I'll change the content from this capital A and lowercase a to, yeah, let's just do the @ symbol again. So there's a nice @ symbol there. So if we have a quick look at that, how that would look, that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, but it's got a couple of issues. But if I go to the Export tab, I'll be able to hopefully fix some of those. So looking at the Viewer Embed options, I can then have a look at Play Settings, and I can hide the background color. But also make sure that there is a nice automatic animation that will play as it sits on a web page. Okay. So that can pan, it can be touched, can that. And we'll have an animated turntable. And let's go for a speed of 0.1 to the right. No, let's go to the left. So now it'll hover nicely. Okay. Now, I do also want to change that there is a floor here. So I'm going to get rid of that floor. Make sure that I update my viewer. Now, what I have done here is generated this embed code. So I copy that embed code and then jump back over to my Spline Framer example. What I will do is just choose any object within the Framer web page. And this is a vertically oriented stack that I'm looking at here. I know it's called image, but it's not actually an image. And what I'll do is insert, and I'll go to utility, click on embed, and in this embed, I will go over to where it says HTML on the right hand side of the page. I'll drop my embed code in there. Just quickly toggle something so that it'll generate. And then I'm able to click on my 3D object, drop it into that stack, and you'll see that I have my 3D object. Now, as I said, I cheated a little bit with my own web page and created a 3D object, or created a little two-dimensional object. But what I'll do here is just zoom in slightly, and that'll hide the made in Spline. Now, I will actually say, for Spline's defense, it's a great program, so if you can afford to use it, please do. But for now, we'll just hide it ourselves. It's not going to work on every device. Sometimes resizing will mean that it shows up, but it looks really unprofessional, so try to avoid that if you can. But for now, we have a 3D object in our page that can be rotated and played around with to our heart's content, resized, and I think looks pretty cool, going along with our little animated flame from earlier, and it all looks pretty nice. So I hope that video was informative as well, and if you've got any more suggestions for other content, let me know.